Hello, welcome to the Like Compass Academy. So today I'm going to um, read one of my books, or at least give you some insight into why I wrote this book and share one or two chapters with you. So this is 9 easy strategies you must use to become better at managing family conflict. This is one of the books I just wrote. Actually, it's 2022 book, and I'm just going to tell you why I wrote this book and maybe share with you one or two chapters, and then if you can get more details on how to get the book later on, we'll get into that. So one of the reasons why I wrote this book was um, I like to focus on us being able to maintain interactional happiness, and I think if we're able to do that, we are able to promote our health and wellness. So as you know, in the Della Compass Academy, our focus is on wellness. We try to look for different ways that we can sustain the 9 dimensions of wellness. So sometimes, in the family, you see that trying to agree on a particular thing or trying to get things done, many different opinions, different approaches to the same thing. And sometimes, unfortunately, because of the differences, there could be conflict. So in this book, I'm asking you, do you want to learn how to manage conflicts quickly and easily within the family? Have you ever wondered why it is so difficult to be on the same page with others? You know, why there's so many different approaches, something you think is easy or that we could all do without having so much hassle, but at the end of the day, you end up having so much hassle, right? How many times have you found yourself arguing with someone and refusing to how do I put it, to giving? How many times have you found yourself arguing with someone and refusing to give up because you want to be seen as the person who was right? Sometimes you do this consciously, at other times you may be doing it subconsciously. If you think you're right, expect other family members to listen to you because you're the smartest, the richest, the oldest, or even their parents may be in for a surprise. Everyone has their opinions because everyone has the way that they think things should be done. So they might not get that, hey, okay, you said this, so we're all gonna do it. It doesn't You have to be prepared for that. One of the key things to remember is that it's very difficult to get others to do as you wish. If even your own kids will start to disagree with you more openly as they get older. They have their own viewpoint, they have the way they see it, that's a little bit different from the way you see it. And they might just not agree with you. You might think you got it all figured out, and hey, yeah, the parents, yeah, should listen. Not always. You know, there's no guarantee your brothers and sisters will have the same vision as you, especially when it comes to everybody might just have their own way when you look at this. It's not necessarily a negative thing, but you have to remember that, and you have to navigate through that. Even husband and wife may not be on the same page on vacations and finances. All these can lead to conflict and resentment unless you develop what is all this. I kind of use that phrase a lot in my book, but what I mean is, okay, so this tendency for the kids to say what their mind, for brothers and sisters to have a different opinion, for husband and wife to have a different approach to things or different goals and expectations. These are the all these. All these can lead um, to to conflict and resentment unless you develop an easy, proactive strategy that can help you manage negative situations and conflict within the family. And that's precisely where this book comes in. Through this book, you will learn easy to use strategies that can help you become better at managing family conflicts. You know. Even if you are unaware of underlying resentment or slowly burning fire, destroying the fabric of your relationship, you may be paying a dear price with your health, wellness, and happiness without realizing. Again, that is part of the reason why this is the focus of the Life Compass Academy because we are interested in helping you and helping ourselves, you know, live healthier and happier lives, by increasing our wellness, by being more aware of the dimensions of, you know, of health and the of wellness and how that impacts our day-to-day life and happiness. So without knowing the factors that could be generating conflicts in your relationships or interactions, you may be among those blaming all that on bad luck, destiny, family history, location, demonic attacks, village people, or identified, chronic illness. I was about to say identify flying objects, but no. While some of these factors could play a role in making your relationships pleasant, fulfilling, moving from known to unknown is a great strategy for improving your wellness and living a better life. So what do I mean by that? So if you first start by doing like a 72-hour audit for wellness so that you can see, or in this particular instance, for conflict, you can tell what patterns, are leading you more to conflict, like in the morning before you leave, that when you have most conflict, when you're going to work, when the kids are going to school, is when they come back from school and you're dealing with homework, getting ready for a sporting activity, a family event, or going to church Sunday if you're a person of faith, or going for a movie or something that you love doing, together as a family, and then your family has to get what are those factors, those are consequences, those situations that tend to lead to more. You have to be aware of them. And one easy way is just to do a 72-hour, conflict audit, or wellness audit. One of the two would work. Just gives you an idea of the pressure points, the areas that you need to attend to, generate more conflict for you, you know. So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna read the whole introduction, but you know, that's typically what I'm asking, what I'm trying to get here. And so I ask questions like, what strategies and skills can you use to diffuse conflict in your family? How can you diffuse conflict between spouses or conflict between parents, their children, or between siblings? How can you do that? One simple strategy would be to selectively give up the need to be right. If you realize that you don't have to be right all the time, it takes a lot of pressure from you, and it's gonna help you. If you do this, you'll find out that you will not be involved in as many conflicts as before. You know, what is wrong with letting someone else be right for a change? If it makes them happy and conflict, you should be happy too. As long as you're not being inauthentic, as long as you're not just, agreeing to whatever someone says for the sake of it without, any real reason for doing that. So through this book, I'll share with you some of the easy and practical strategies you can use to become better at managing challenging encounters, negative situations, and family conflicts in your life, and keep your relationships more fulfilling so that you can protect your health and wellness and increase your daily happiness. All right, that's just the introduction, okay? Like I said, I'm going to share with you. I'm going to go on now to one one strategy. I already have a video on, have a do you have a simple strategy for dealing with unexpected negative encounters within the family? I've shared this both in my blog and my YouTube channel, that is the Dollar Compass Academy. So you can check it out to get more of that. And of course, you can always get the book. This book is available on Amazon. You can get it for to read more and have your own copy that you can go back to anytime. And see some of the tips and strategies there that I generally try to make my tips and strategies very practical, very easy to use, and something that will make you start seeing the benefit right away in your own life if you read them and put them in action. I'm sorry, but there is no wellness tip or anything I can give you that won't require you actually taking action. You actually have to take action. You have to do something, and when you do that, then the results will follow. Because remember, the right habits leads to the right results, right? You have to take action. You actually have to act on some of these things. Okay, so What I'm really going to talk about today in more detail is strategy number two, which is decide which conflicts are worth your time and effort when dealing with others. Okay. So the thing to remember about conflict in general and then family conflicts in particular is not every conflict needs to be resolved. You know, in some cases, all you need to do is just let it go. You know, don't get involved. So it's for the thing you have to decide: is this worth it, or you should just let it go? It's not every pushback, every disagreement, everything that you see that is leading to emotional tension. You know that you should address. Some you should just let go. You know. So the second easy strategy for managing conflict is to decide what to do with conflict. If you are attempting to resolve a conflict, there is just no end in sight. You must decide if the process is worth working on or not. It might be best to give up and walk away. You're not showing signs of weakness if you do that. Instead, you are displaying signs that you are mature enough to recognize that a resolution is not going to happen, and walking away is the smartest thing to do. Yes, sometimes that's the smartest thing to do. What's the point of getting into a confrontation? If you're about to check out and someone cuts in front of you or something, sometimes the person is just, you know, go to another counter or let the person be, even though you know it's patently wrong. But sometimes doing that will save you more time, you know. So you always ask yourself, can you walk away from family? I don't mean getting up and leaving your wife, kids, or your husband, kids, or your parents, depending on where who's generating this wealth. That's not what I mean. You must be strategic in how you deal with conflicts. Always keep your eyes on the mission. Is the conflict worth losing your family over? You know, is it like are you dealing with conflict that your life is in danger? So I mean, just but what's your mission? What do you want out of this? Why did you build a family? Why are you getting into that? What's your mission? You always have to be mission focused anyway, because that will help you determine what to do. Sometimes you must step back from the conflict and ask yourself what started it all. Some conflicts end up being more silly and less meaningful because they drag on so long. People involved don't even remember the true cause of the conflict in the first place. All they are left with is that feeling of I wish I had stopped earlier. Here are some questions that will help make better decisions on whether to let the conflict go or to continue to try and resolve it. What do you hope to achieve by resolving the conflict? That's a good question. You know, was the conflict spontaneous or related to expectation? You have to remember that almost everyone has experiences of what expectations, sorry, of what they want for themselves. So when the expectations don't match, there is conflict could occur. It could be that you promise the kid you're gonna get something for them, but you don't do it right away. That's already a problem because they expect you to get it right away. See, sometimes the kids look at you as God. They think once you say something, you can do it right away. They forget that you're human, you have your own struggles, you have things you're trying to do too, or other things even outside your control come into play. But as long as you say you're gonna get do something, expectation is it should be done right away. And when you don't, that's the problem. You know, sometimes if parents having the expectation that their kids for their children or children from their parents or friends, from their friends, there's always this expectation gap or it's not matching. But that's a stressor that leads to conflict, because what was expected was not delivered. That's all. People don't really care too much why, whether it was legitimate reason or not. They don't really. It's just the reality. All they care is that their expectations cannot met, you know. So one thing you can look at is expectations themselves. Can these expectations be so high that um, how do I put it, they start to cause conflict within your family, friends, and daily interactions with others? Certain expectations are natural for everyone and include things like wondering what your day will be like, what the future will bring, what is while it is great to have expectations, they can also cause stress or unhappiness if they are not properly managed. You may end up, dumping the ensuring stress on yourself and others. Again, why am I talking about expectations here? You might want that. It helps you to get to look at the conflict in context so that you can decide whether it's worth it or not. What expectation is it about? Is it about going to school? Is it about driving a car? Is it about walking down the street? What is the thing that is driving that expectation? If what it is not a big deal, there is not really much harm to be done, then don't get involved in conflict. You know, it's important not to let your expectations get out of hand when dealing with the family, since this can cause real problems. While many expectations are based on reality, there are some that are not. Yes, like I'll give you a quick example. Expecting to lose 100 pounds in the first week of planning a weight loss program is not realistic. You know, expecting that a child joins a new team automatically is going to dominate everyone, is going to be the hero that saves. It doesn't work like that. Expecting that everyone in your office will like you, expecting that all the in-laws will think you're wonderful, it's not gonna happen. No, it's not. Okay. So it's unrealistic to expect a child to score in every game he plays or to get 100% in every test he takes in school. He can't. You can get A's, but not necessarily 100% every time you take the test. That doesn't seem realistic to me. People probably can argue and say that, hey, no, that's realistic expectation because that's going to drive him or her to do better and then end up getting the result. We forget about the pressure it puts the person under. You forget about self-esteem issues, anxiety-related problems the person will have to deal with, and this is non-stop. You just have that tendency, that pressure, because that's what is expected of you. If you go for all out, 100%. And whether someone now is so used to that even when they score 95 or whatever, they feel they didn't do well because they didn't get 100. So, I mean, it's something each one of them have to look at and say, how they're going to manage it. I mean, so if you have issues like expectations or confrontations or people finding things less fulfilling, these types of conflict made worse by those people who find no middle ground in their point of view or demands during specific interaction. So don't get into a conflict like that. If you know you're dealing with someone who needs to be right, who is always right, and whatever they say, who doesn't change their position, then you have to be careful which conflict you get in because it's just not going to end until someone, decides, okay, yeah, you're right, okay. Now, the key to staying positive, or ruffled during such interactions, which interactions, interactions where you're dealing with someone who has no middle ground, who it's all or none, either he or she is completely right or he or she is completely wrong. There is none between, that's a problem. But don't allow such a position to overwhelm you. It might actually give you an insight into the personality type and trait. The key to staying positive or unruffled during such interactions is to remember that you cannot control how others will behave towards you, but you can control how you would react towards their behavior. This is another decision point. It's another example of you having to decide, within yourself, what are you going to do? Are you going to press your child to do their homework, to practice? Are you going to press your spouse to clean up their mess, to pick up the things they do? Are you going to do it yourself? How long are you going to do it yourself for? But these are potential conflicts. Some things you talk about and you just see that this is not getting you anywhere. Maybe it's a personality issue for the other person. Maybe it's a trait. Maybe it's just circumstance and resources, or it's just bad habits that I had to break. If someone has a bad habit that has to break, yelling and screaming might not be able to do it, but finding other alternatives and you know understanding more the struggle might help. So again, the decision part of you know deciding what to do with a particular conflict, whether it's what it, these are all factors that you have to put into place. You know, if you're dealing with kids, you can tell your children why they should try to give their best effort in every situation in which they find themselves. I mean, some would listen right away, some will not. Some will say no. Yeah, they're trying to um, yet they're trying to run away from their own responsibility by going there. So tell them that when they put in the work, great results will follow. So they form the habit of doing things the way they should, right? So tell them that, you know, tell them that when they put in the work, great results will follow without necessarily demanding that they seek perfection in everything that they do. One way to do this is to modify your expectations when dealing with your family members. Do not compare your child with others. This can lead to unhealthy competition and anger. Or don't, if you continually tell other kids, say, you're not doing good, this person is doing good, it might lead to resentment. So be careful. The critical step that will help you to protect your health and stay happy during your daily interactions with others or when dealing with negative situations is to make moment by moment adjustments. Okay, so it depends. You start. You think it's very important. It's something you want to really talk about. You want to make sure people understand their point of view. And you see that the person you're talking to either has no clue or doesn't quite understand the gravity. Then you have to think that you have to make adjustments. You have to start by making sure that people really understand why something is important. If you don't get that's important, they're not going to pay much attention to it. Yes, I was talking to one Dr. Ernest the other day, and he was saying that one of the when something is important, you make a time for it. If it's not important, you're not going to make a time for it. So if you're trying to resolve an issue, talk to your family about something, and they're not willing to pay attention, then they're not really ready to do it. But they don't even see it as a conflict. Maybe they see it all on you. So you have to make adjustments in that moment. So how do we make these adjustments? This can be done in different situations by setting boundaries and creating awareness through which everyone is allowed to discuss their expectations or goals. So you could have family meetings, it's that have conversations or chats, during the dinner table or when you can have these conversations, but be prepared. Sometimes it won't go as smooth as you would like it to go, you know. Yeah. So, like I said, when you have these meetings, one of the challenges is that sometimes kids can be overwhelmingly forthright, when and honest in telling their parents, the things they don't like about them or the things they don't like about how things are done in the family. And if you're the parent, you have to be prepared to acknowledge, that with positive engagement and interaction without switching to yelling and saying how dare you, who you're talking to, or this is really unacceptable, that kind of stuff. Have to be careful. Most young people vividly remember their hurt feelings rather than the positive moments that you shared with them. Yeah, I don't need to start backing this up, but I have seen that a number of times, from both from what media reports, other people's accounts, anecdotal evidence, I would say, supports that idea that we tend to, focus more on their hot feelings than all the other things you don't combine that could have made a difference. If you prepare your mind for negative encounters, the more positive one will not be stressful, right? So if you're ready for if things are going south and it ends up being a positive encounter, that's even better. However, if you have high expectations for positive encounter, it ends up going south, it's very stressful to your health and could significantly diminish a sense of fulfillment and happiness. You don't want that. You want to maintain your interactional happiness, your health. You have this life. You don't have. There's no duplicate. This is it. you've got to make it a point of duty to be happy. Keep in mind that while you cannot control what others will say to you based on their perceptions of the situation at hand or their own recollection of the previous encounter, you can decide on how to you based on their perceptions of the situation at hand or their own recollection of previous encounter. You can decide how you shall react to or respond to the situation or circumstance. Yes. So at the end, when you put all these things together in the context that we have shared them with you, you can make that decision on this particular conflict. So let it go. Talk about it. Then if you're going to talk about it, how are you going to approach it? All right. Hey, I'll see you next time. Okay. Thank you for sharing the time with us at the Light Compass Academy. I look forward to seeing you on our next training session or review of books, other items that we do to help you become a better manager of conflict in your family and in that regard, improve your health and wellness. I'll see you next time.